invited me to brunch this weekend. I didn't even know brunch was still a thing. Is brunch still a thing?
I think so. But for the younger kids, for the kids that didn't get to experience it 15 years ago.
You know the millennials aren't that young, right?
Who are you, the Flash?
What does that even mean?
He did like a whole bit with Batman about brunch.
Oh. Okay, well, obviously I don't remember.
I'm not sure if that made the Snyder Cut or not.
Well,
hashtag release the Snyder Cut.
if you're going to mumble and I can't hear you, then just keep it to yourself, Johnny. Seriously. Good morning. Yeah, exactly. See, you couldn't even hear what he said because he just mumbled it at me. What's going on?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Jesus. Brunch, apparently.
Boy, is it hot out there today.
So
out
hot.
there? Where's out there? There's not an out there. It's hot airware. In here. Yeah, that's right. In here. You better get that. I don't like answering the phone.
Hello, last video store on the left. Oh boy. I don't know, brah. Why do surfers eat cold food? Awesome. That's because they hate microwaves. Got it.
I don't get it.
Very cool.
I don't get it.
Tiny waves.
Microwaves.
Oh.
You gotta think outside
You
the
should have
box.
answered the phone.
I should have answered
Hey,
the phone.
thanks for calling.
He would have definitely.
That kid needs to get in school.
Yeah. Who? Yeah, that kid. It's the summer. Leave him alone.
Oh, whatever.
Kids don't like going to school anymore. Look what I just manifested. Mayor!
Hey, what's going on, people? Hey, you know there's a guy with a cane outside underneath the bus? I think bus hit him or something, but he might be blind.
Well, if the bus hit him, I'd say he's probably blind.
It was weird. I was on my way over, and I actually tripped over him. I didn't mean to, so I put some change in his cup.
Should we call somebody?
I don't know. I'm not a paramedic. He seemed fine to me, aside from the fact that he's blind.
Okay, well,
That's not a handicap, though. I'm sure he can hear really well and smell everything.
let's just pretend like none of this happened and start the conversation over again.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, Mayor.
I came in from the bar down the street, and I didn't see a goddamn thing.
Thank God. What do you got in the cup?
Oh, my bartender friend gave this to me. He said it's called a surfer on acid.
It's really pretty good.
It kind of burns my throat a little bit. It's why I'm hoarse.
That's the only reason, huh?
And the fact that I've been throwing up a lot more lately.
Okay, well, that sounds like you got
I think
something wrong with you.
I think it's because the alcohol is riding away at my stomach lining. But that's just what the doctors say, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Sounds like it's a real positive day today. Happy Monday.
Hey, I'm going to go in the back and see if this is bleeding.
Jeez. Okay, Mayor, just put a towel down, please.
This whole day feels like that melt emoji.
Hey,
Good
hello.
morning, afternoon. Hi, welcome to Last Video Store on the Left.
Hi, how are you? I'm looking for some kind of nostalgic, silly humor movie to watch.
Silly humor movie.
Yeah, something that makes me giggle.
Oh, man.
Well,
You know,
welcome.
something with like a lot of pink and maybe some purple and teal.
So
I like a lot of lights and like
all right.
glitter, stuff like that.
Lights and glitter.
All right.
Well, we have like a boy
Some
version.
pastels. A lot of pastels. A lot of ocean pastel colors, maybe.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's good. And you know what? It's silly and nostalgic. It's silly and nostalgic. So I think that our suggestion for you, my friend.
To get you out of your headspace and to give you something to focus on that's totally silly.
That you're going to find very funny. The 1986.
What?
What the fuck are you
91.
The 1947 classic.
That's what it felt like. It felt like 1986.
1991 summer blockbuster, Point Break.
1991 summer blockbuster Point Break. Point Break. Have you ever heard of this movie?
No, I've never heard of this movie. Who is in this movie?
Wow.
Wow, this is
Patrick
like
Swayze, Keanu Reeves.
yeah, Keanu Reeves. This is like early Keanu.
This is the movie that started his blockbuster career.
Was it before Speed?
It was before Speed.
Before Speed, but after Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
Bill and Ted was pretty
yeah,
popular.
but he was still doing indie stuff. He did a
Yeah.
comedy, then he did My Own Private Idaho.
I thought
and-
My Own Private Idaho was before Bill and Ted.
No, Bill and Ted was first.
Oh, okay.
And then he did I Love You to Death with Kevin Kline. So he was doing these bit character roles, but this was the movie that everyone's like, holy shit, he's an action star. Look at
Was-
that guy.
Was he in Down the River or whatever, that Seattle movie?
River's Edge?
River's Edge.
I can't
with,
remember. I should know this.
Meryl
dad.
Streep?
Yeah, that was supposed to be a great film.
Yeah.
Oh no, never
Meryl
mind.
Streep.
I don't
The
know.
dad.
What?
1986.
I'm
Meryl
sorry.
Streep.
I'm sorry. What's your name?
I'm sorry. I think you guys are going on a bit of a tangent. I'm just looking for a video here.
It's okay. We're gonna
Ouch.
do that a lot
There it
tonight.
is.
Female version
No,
in
look,
this movie.
look. We're gonna do this a lot tonight.
It also stars Lori Petty
Yeah.
from the 90s.
Who was having a moment.
Well, we
was.
all the girls wanted to be Lori Petty, and then it was too bad that she had to have a boyfriend, meaning Keanu Reeves. He was the worst, right? Like, I don't know how he all of a sudden became like this big, famous, like stoic
All right, well,
gentleman.
before we get into that, let's just go over the movie for you a little bit. I mean, I think it was, at the time, it was incredible. It was a lot of action. There was a lot of, I guess, quote unquote, cool dialogue. But looking back on it and watching it now, it is really funny. It is hilarious. You'll have a great time watching it.
For me, it was always hilarious.
Oh, was it?
Like,
I
it
don't
was
remember
always
watching it except
ridiculous.
for Lori Petty because we wanted to be the strong female like lead. And I remember wanting to love it because she was amazing, but the dudes in the movie were just too dumb. The whole thing was too
The
dumb.
whole thing was
Gary
too dumb.
Busey, do you know who Gary Busey
I
is?
do, yes.
Yeah,
he's a little odd, right?
He's always off the
Yeah,
wall, right?
yeah.
So he plays an FBI agent, like a seasoned FBI agent, and now Keanu Reeves comes in, and the guy from Scrubs, the guy who plays the mean doctor from Scrubs.
John
I love
C.
that guy.
John C.
He went
McGinley.
to-
Yeah, so he
we met him
plays-
at Steve's Last Resort. He hangs out in Lake Worth sometimes.
Shut up!
Yeah.
That is awesome.
That
Is he
was a
so
little-
nice?
Yeah, actually, well,
No,
I mean,
I've heard that he's really
he
nice.
was actually really nice.
Yeah, like in interviews and stuff,
I
they
love
talk about
John
what
C.
a nice.
McGinley. He's
yeah.
in everything.
So he's the like head guy in the LA FBI office of bank robbery stuff. So now Keanu Reeves, a new guy in the bank robbery division, being put with Cuckoo Gary Busey. Cuckoo Gary
He
Busey.
just graduated from Quantico, so he's a fresh graduate for the FBI.
He's in the door for 5 seconds, and his boss, John McGillicuddy,
McKinley.
is barking at him like a frothing Rottweiler.
Dude,
Yeah.
everything started at 11. That's what I was going to say about this movie. Like, I know Catherine Bigelow, who's the director, who has Oscars now. She did The Hurt Locker and some other
Strange
stuff.
Days.
Okay, Strange Days. So famous female movie director. She told them, I said she either couldn't control them, so she just let them do whatever the fuck they wanted, or she's like, yeah, just go to 11, boys. Just take it to 11. See who can out 11 each other.
Or she was like, Michael Bay, hold my beer.
Oh my
Let me
God.
show you how a Michael Bay
This
movie
Do you
really
think that
does.
she directed them to 11 like
But
that?
this is before Michael Bay.
Well, he did Top Gun.
No. Top Gun. No.
No.
Wasn't
No.
he a
That's Tony
producer?
Scott. No. He was a... No, Michael Bay is a director. You're thinking of Jerry Bruckheimer.
Okay.
Simpson and Bruckheimer were the
Okay.
producer duo
So,
in the 80s.
Keanu's character in this movie, no lie, like not even a joke, his name is Johnny Utah. Johnny Utah. His character's name is Johnny Utah.
Well, he's a football player.
What do you guys think of Keanu Reeves? Do you like him? Not like him? I mean,
I like Keanu Reeves because he is Keanu Reeves. And, I don't think you can hate the guy because he'll do a great piece of work like in I Love You to Death or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but then he'll do some other stuff and you're like, ooh, Jesus. But then he'll come right back and do something fun like John Wick, and he's a hit or miss, I mean, he's great at some things, and other things it's just like, okay.
I'm completely baffled by his career.
He's like a Nicolas Cage, but better, but kind of the same, because Nicolas Cage has moments of brilliance, but then he's like
But
terrible.
He has range.
Yeah.
isn't he playing a vampire right now?
Yeah.
oh,
He's
that
playing a
movie
vampire
got...
for some series or
No, it
I
was a
think in real life
movie.
he's
He
playing
did, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him
exactly.
in years, and it seems like he's kind of trying to make a comeback or something. It's been a while, right?
He was in some pig movie that got rave reviews, so he can still do it.
Who?
Nicolas Cage.
Oh yeah.
A couple
okay.
years ago.
Yeah.
So this film, it was originally called Johnny Utah. That was the original title. I'm not making this up, but the studio felt that the title said very little bit about surfing, and then they when they cast Patrick Swayze, they renamed it Riders on the Storm after the Doors. But then
So dumb.
Yeah, but then they realized that had nothing to do with surfing really. So it was like halfway through filming, and then they decided on Point Break.
So the old guard, there's bank robberies that keep happening every year for like 2 or 3 years, and they're all done by these guys in president masks, dead presidents, right? Ex-presidents with like the rubber masks on.
Halloween masks.
Right,
And they
like
don't
you see
hurt
those old
anybody.
Lincoln mask stuff like that.
Yeah, they don't hurt anybody. They just take the money from the register. They're in and out in 90 seconds. They're really good at it. No one's been able to get them.
They don't go into the vault ever.
Right. And so Gary Busey's character has a theory that everybody like makes fun of him. You're this crazy old guy. What's your stupid theory? And again, everyone's operating at 11 and screaming at each other at this point.
There's a lot of testosterone in this movie, but it's not like off-putting. If you just settle into it, it's actually kind of hilarious.
His boss calls Keanu Reeves an asshole within 30 seconds of meeting him.
Of starting, yeah.
Well,
There's
so
a-
I'm
if this
moved
were-
on. I'm moved on.
if
We're all
this-
the way. We're all
I
the
know,
way to the drop
but
car
if-
right now. We're at the drop car.
If this were set today, there'd be so many lawsuits.
Oh,
So many
I feel
lawsuits.
like that's so many
Yeah.
movies and shows
You're right.
earlier in time.
You couldn't make
Absolutely.
it. You
but
just
I also
couldn't.
think some of those movies made the way for people to be able to be more free. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
gave people action movie careers.
Maybe they just
Yeah.
kept the office at 100 degrees, so everybody was at
So
everyone's
pissed off.
throats.
That seems familiar. I understand that.
So where does Lori Petty come in?
So Johnny Utah, dum decides to go undercover as a surfer.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What?
You're skipping a lot of stuff.
We have to go back a bit.
Oh
So-
God, I'm just trying to get like we can't every little nuance. I mean, really.
So, but this is one of the best scenes.
Okay.
So they find the drop car, the ex-president's drop car, and Johnny Utah's going over it with a fine-tooth comb, and Gary Busey's like, "What the fuck, man?" He's like, "This is bullshit. It's 7:30 at night.
Did you
aren't
crack
gonna
the
find
case yet?"
anything."
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're at each other's throats, and then Keanu Reeves did his best to act his
Oh,
heart
man.
out, his little beautiful heart, and. Can you explain it better?
I don't remember this
Yes,
scene. This scene
he-
meant
he really
nothing
tri-
to me.
So he's pissed off because he's with the surly veteran who's been there for a while, and he's this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed newcomer out of college.
fresh out of
The
We get it. We
academy.
get it.
So-
Yeah, fresh out of
but
Quantico.
so he's trying to like get his partner to like come around, and he's all pissed off. So he
Busey won't tell him about his theory,
right.
and he wants to hear about the theory.
So maybe you should take some rent-a-cop night security job, tell Nam stories, and tries to rile up Busey, which he does.
It works.
It works, but then he comes back to Busey with this really bad.
Are you mad now?
It feels like you're still alive, right?
Feels good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is a real reenactment
is-
of that scene.
I think we did it better,
looks like
actually.
it.
Yeah,
Very
you probably
nice job.
did. You probably did do it better because Busey and Keanu Reeves are too
It's hard.
much. It's hard.
Busey's good. Keanu, it's rough. It's like, man, yeah, because she probably his direction was probably like, just go big.
My soul left my body that scene. I couldn't deal with it. It was
That might
so
have been when we
bad.
turned it off.
No.
I'm just kidding.
So he tells him his theory, and then now
So
they're
wait,
working together.
we're watching it, and I'm like eye rolling, and I'm so upset about it, and I'm like throwing myself around on the couch because I'm so upset watching this film. And he goes, "It's just the Fast and the Furious."
It is.
And I'm like, to a point, it is. To a point. But then it's got like 16 endings,
Well,
and it
there's-
stops being the Fast and
there's
like
famous-
it stops being the Fast and
There's
the
famous
Furious.
YouTube videos of how the Fast and the Furious completely bit this movie, and
I can
it's
see
At the
that.
beginning,
100%
yes.
true.
At the beginning, yes. So I kept trying to watch it like the Fast and the Furious because I love that
the whole movie.
But aren't there like 20 Fast and the Furious?
The very
Yeah,
first
the very
one.
first one.
The very first one with
Stolen-
Brian.
It's a
and-
carbon copy of Point
It is
Break.
not.
It is.
The ending. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Those endings are not.
What? They didn't surf with the cars. Okay, yeah, but it was the same thing. Like,
Not in the first one.
No. So he tells him his theory about it being surfers because of whatever dumb
Tan
evidence.
lines or
Yeah, some kind of surfer
no,
wax.
so yeah, there's a lot of
sex
clues.
wax and tan lines.
So yeah, so they when they leave the first bank robbery, they moon the camera, and there's a massive tan line on the guy. And then on one of the bank robberies, his shoe scuffs the counter, and there's like a soil sample, and it's got like bits of wax in it, and there's 3 matches for the wax, and one of them is surf wax. So Gary Busey's got all these clues, and he's like, "This is why I think
Can
they're
you
surfers."
quote these scenes?
I can quote the whole movie, to be quite honest.
No.
I probably could.
When he moons the camera, you see his actual beehole.
I do.
Oh, nice.
I paused it to make sure. I was like, holy cow.
There it is.
He wanted to make sure.
Oh my god. So okay, then he says, well, let's infiltrate the surfers. So he goes and infiltrates the surfers. This movie is so long, we can't just keep doing this. It's so long. So
The kid.
no,
at the
stop.
The kid at the shop is a character actor from the 90s. He was actually in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's
Oh
Dead.
my gosh, I'm right on top of that, Rose.
Yes. he
that
was
movie.
he was the kid that got the girl the diamond ring. In Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's
okay,
Dead.
right,
He
right.
was- The dishes are done.
No, he
Okay.
was the younger
But
one.
he was in a few
Cute
things,
one.
but like
Yeah.
a lot of child actors, he unfortunately passed away from heroin.
Oh.
Yeah,
I did
it's
not
a
know
dark.
that.
We're going dark again. We're back to the darkness.
I'm going to not say what I wanted to say about that kid.
Oh, good for you. That's probably
He
a
gets a
good one.
dumb surfboard. Everybody makes fun of him. He almost dies on the break because he's got some longboard trying to surf this like really harsh break, and some girl has to save him. Walk in walks.
Lori Petty.
There you go.
She does that famous scene that we all wanted to be able to do as girls, where you wrap the towel around your waist and you take your bathing suit bottoms off, and then you put your
jeans on.
shorts
It's
on
kind of
underneath.
like when you take the bra like off under your
She
She
did
does
that
that
first.
too, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how
Is
she
that
gets
where
her
that
top.
came from? Because that was
It
like,
was
No,
a-
I
it
think
was
that we all
standard.
knew how to do it,
Yeah.
and she just put it on the big screen.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So yeah, he gets hot about her and gets her license plate and goes and uses his cop know-how
Well,
to
he
stalk
needs
her.
He needs a contact. He needs an in, and she's an in. He wants to get into.
After she saves his life on the beach, she runs back and she like yells at him the whole time once she knows he's going to live. And he yells at her, "My name's Johnny Utah."
Oh my god! Oh my
Yeah.
god! I think I wrote that down.
You
in the
did write it
notes.
My
down.
body-
I think I did.
My soul left my body again. At that
Hey, my name's Johnny Utah. But the best part about that is she's like, who cares? Because that's a perfectly normal response. Like, who cares? Like, dude, weirdo.
Oh my god, it was so weird. And so then he stalks her because he finds out her parents died in some fucking plane crash. So then he goes to where she works and makes up some story about how he just moved here from fucking Kansas and his parents died in a car crash.
Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Fucking
pretty fucked
How
up.
fucked
Yeah.
up is that? And she ends up with him anyway at the end.
Ew.
Why?
Well, she.
No
oh,
wonder you
let's
hate
get.
this movie. This is terrible.
But
I
it's
know.
fun. It's fun in a way.
It's kind
to
of
watch.
amazing. Though.
Yeah, it's kind of great.
It's worth watching so your soul can leave your body.
Yeah.
Um
So now, so after this whole thing actually she works at Neptune's Net. Neptune's Net is a famous LA institution for food, and it's where in Fast and the Furious they go and meet up for food.
Oh, it is.
So they're
super-
totally ripping it off.
It's
Yeah.
where Jax and Brittany got engaged, I think. It's where somebody got
I'm
engaged.
sorry, who's Jackson?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jax and
exactly.
Brittany.
From Vanderpump Rules.
Jesus.
I've
Yeah.
never seen that, but I do like that lady's accent and her shiny hair.
Yeah, she's a total psycho, but most of them are real psychos. Like, I'm really convinced one of them's probably a serial killer.
Was that an actual show and they made a reality show
No,
No.
of the cast? Or
no.
it's always been a reality
It's always
show?
been a
Well,
reality
but
show.
didn't it start off with like one of the housewives? I think she
Yeah,
was
it's
a housewife.
it's Lisa Vanderpump, who's
Yeah.
a housewife
then-
on Beverly Hills. It's her restaurant, and it's the servers at her restaurant.
Okay.
And then she opened another restaurant around the corner that's even
I've
more
seen the
hot.
previews, but I've never watched it.
People,
Good
yeah,
for
it's
you.
hot people
Thanks.
being drunk and out of control, and then they get old, and then they get really out of control.
And then they start learning to surf. So Point Break. What happens is, so at Neptune's Net, she agrees, hey, meet me here at 6 a.m. If you're
I
one
need
minute
help
late."
learning how to surf. I'm
I'm
either
outta
going to
here.
kill myself
Well,
or
he
you're going to
convinces her.
teach
Wait,
me.
Lori Petty.
He
Yeah.
convinces
Okay.
Lori Petty. And she's like, fine, you get here tomorrow. And so he get there, and they try to learn how to surf, and he's terrible. But they show a big montage, and then at the end, they're getting ready to leave, and then
All her guy friends are out there.
well, no, he looks and he sees somebody out on like ripping it up, and there's this nice mystical music, and he sees Bodhi, and he's just this cool guy.
Bodhafsa.
And she says they call him the. It's a Buddhist term for enlightened one.
Sure it
It's-
is.
Yeah,
She's like,
Bodhisattva.
That's Bodhi. People call him Bababa.
Wow.
But no one ever in the movie
You
called him
guys,
that
need to,
once.
you guys need to smoke more weed and listen to more Steely Dan. Bodhisattva was a song. It's a Buddhist term. It
No one
means enlightened
ever.
one.
No one ever called him that in the movie.
Well, you could tell who it was written by. It was written by a bunch of fucking 60s hippies.
Yeah, so he comes over, tries to stake his claim on Lori Petty, and
No, he doesn't. He comes over to say hi, douche.
oh no, he kisses all up on her, and she's like,
Yeah,
"Whoa,
he-
buddy,
And she's like,
get
yeah,
off me."
we know each other.
Wait, I'm sorry. Was she surfing or
They were
she was
they were
just,
toweling off, and he saw Bodhi, and hey, that's Bodhi.
and
They-
Bodhi's like the cool surfer,
Yeah.
like mysterious guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's the
He's
Buddha
the
on the
good
beach.
And that's when she says they call him the Bodhisattva.
I see. Okay.
Buddha
and
on the beach.
So they're drying off, and he sneaks up behind her, and she's like, "Oh, well, we know each
and
other."
he
And
sticks
then
his finger in her bathing suit bottoms.
Aw, see, that is not true.
he Robin
isn't. It
picks her.
Gross.
No, he doesn't. But his friends are playing football, and then the ball goes sailing past, and then Johnny Utah catches it
Straight out of Top Gun.
straight out of Top
So
Gun. Absolutely.
homoerotic football on
Oh
the
my
beach
God.
scene, and
Except it's at night.
all of the headlights are on the beach, so you can see all the dudes running around with their jeans on and no shirts.
The whole time I was like, their batteries are gonna go dead.
It's so
But
funny.
most of
That's
them
all
were
I could
fully
think
clothed.
My thing was, no one ever does this ever. No one would ever do this. No one wants attention drawn to them on the beach while they're
true.
running around. You want to be in the dark.
You want to see the ball when you're trying to catch it.
Well-
Plus, these guys are badasses. Who's gonna fuck with these guys?
Anywho,
The one guy's got a butcher's knife. He uses to cut open fucking sterno or whatever the fuck it is.
Oh my God!
Kerosene.
He shoved it into the
Kerosene.
lighter fluid. He instead of just opening the lighter fluid and pouring it on the fire, he shoves his
He
knife
stabs it
through
with
it.
It's just so over the top masculine bullshit. It's like, oh my God. It's
I'll
just-
take it. Sounds great.
So they party at the beach house, which this house is like weird underground, but also a castle looking like thing
weird.
with lots
Where-
of candles.
Is it based in California?
Yeah.
Like LA area. They're
It looks
all-
like it could be a house in The Lost Boys, and it's set up like that with like candles and shit and stuff on the wall.
so weird. And so he's starting to get everybody's trust. And then
He goes out surfing again and breaks the cardinal rule of surfing. If there's a guy, if the waves,
so he cuts some
breaking
guy
right,
off.
Ah.
He cuts some guy off.
the person left must.
No, this is before this. He goes and they get some kind of water samples and a hair sample to find out what beach has these toxins on it, to find out who's surfing this
to match.
break.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's a
then there's
little
a
dramatic.
then there's a montage of them going and yanking hairs out of people's
I love
heads.
montages.
There's a lot of them.
I love
many.
a
There's so
montage.
many. So then they find out there's these like asshole dudes that surf at this one beach, and he cut some guy off. So then they cut his leash, and then he goes up and
He cuts some guy off on a wave. Like he's still learning.
Okay.
And he goes to this break, and he accidentally
there's a
doesn't
name
understand.
for it too. Like there's a term.
He bites his wave basically, and they both go down. And so the local gets pissed, and he punches his lights out, and he cuts his leash, and then he's like, "Hey man, I can't find anybody. I gotta get out of here."
Who carries a knife when you go surfing?
It's probably
Maybe
a
if you have
little
to
keychain
stab
knife.
sharks.
It's
Yeah.
like a little tiny.
Eat seals. You stab a seal and just like
If you get hungry.
these guys.
So he's
anyway.
about to leave. He's getting a nice shower off, and then all those dudes come up behind him. Anthony Kiedis from the Chili Peppers is one of them.
I think Flea is there too, but you can't tell.
No, Flea's not in the movie.
I bet you $10 he's not there.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's under the bridge.
Wow. Wow.
What? That was a Chili Pepper song.
So they surround him, and he's just like, I know. This is where you tell me that yuppies like me shouldn't be surfing your beach. And they're like, no, we're just going to beat the shit out of you.
So
it's kind of scary. It's a very menacing scene, I must say.
Is it in a
I think it is.
circle
How
on the
bad?
beach?
How bad is it though? How bad do they
They
really
don't.
watch?
They
Or is it more like they're just like scary?
No, they're I think they're intimidating dudes. Absolutely.
Okay.
Was the one guy in the Claude Van Damme movie?
Oh, the
main
cyborg?
bad
It
guy?
might. I think he was. I think
He
he's a
looked very
cyborg guy.
familiar.
Yeah. So he gets in a fight with him, and then right when he starts getting his ass kicked, Bodhi shows up, And he's like, hey, leave him alone. He's with me. And they're like, get out of here, Bodie. Brr, 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 brr. But then he ends up punching the guy that punched him, and then all hell breaks loose, and Bodie and him kick everyone's ass, and then they leave.
That Buster saved my life. That's a quote from The Fast and the Furious. When, a very similar
We're
scene.
not recommending that. Actually, you know what? We'll recommend both movies to you.
Yeah.
Double
You'll play
feature.
them back to back.
So,
When they leave, maybe the best line in cinema history, Keanu's talking to Bodhi. Who were those guys? And he's like, "Serve Nazis."
assholes. Yeah.
He's like, war child only lives to get radical. And my soul love my body.
Again. A third
And he's
time.
like, who framed Roger Rabbit?
oh, that's so funny.
What was the other one? Back off, war child. Seriously.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So there's lots of like schlock because
So
even
there-
though it's 1991, it's still like late 80s, late 80s.
So he invites him to a party at the house. He's like,
We
Tyler
gotta
will
move
be
this
there.
along. I'm
Yeah.
hot.
So he comes over to the house, and that's where we see the house. And then they do night surfing. They go on. They get there. Meanwhile,
Do they have the music playing like they're teaching? You know, in movies, how it's always what is it?
like
called?
a teaching scene.
Yeah, like a teaching scene.
Yeah.
Like I think
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Yeah, they all go out,
Yeah.
ride the
karate
waves.
and like or hockey.
so in the
or one of
meantime,
those.
the dudes he got in a fight with at the beach, they think that those are the guys robbing the banks. So he's setting up a raid for the morning, but then he goes to Bodie's party,
and
they
he
get
sleeps
crazy.
with Lori Petty, and then
Yeah.
he's late because sex on the beach gives you
Right.
fucking sand in your crack.
So he's late now to
for his own raid. But then why would you go to your own raid if you're an undercover agent
Right.
anyway?
There's a lot of inconsistencies here.
So they get to the house. They go on the raid. They fuck up cuckoo
Real
Michael
bad.
Madsen's fucking raid, right? Wasn't that Michael Madsen?
No.
Tom
Tom
Sizemore.
Tom Sizemore.
Young, thin Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, and they mess up his DEA raid.
Because he was so Tom Sizemore's just some dude in the kitchen putting beer on his cereal in the morning before the raid, and you're like, ugh. But then it turns out to be Tom Sizemore, and you think he's just one of the surfers, but it turns out he's actually a DEA agent. He's been undercover for like 3 months, having to do that shit, dressed like an animal.
So they fucked that shit up. How he didn't blow his cover and didn't fucking need to leave altogether.
Utah was in the back of the house. and he
Dude,
had a
those
little
guys were
mirror.
arrested for murder because they murdered people. So yeah, or attempted murder. So they ain't getting out. His cover was not blown,
Everybody he interacted with, he basically killed.
or they are in jail.
But there was a chick in the
Shower.
The shower. And she kicked Keanu Reeves' ass.
She
Like,
kicked
beat
his
the
ass,
hell
and
out
then
of
she stabbed another FBI agent with scissors.
She was a
Oh my
badass.
gosh.
Fun
Yeah,
fact:
I
she's
left
a,
the room when this happened because I'm like,
Oh, it's
can't
violent.
It's
It's
so
violent.
and it's so long. It's such a long, violent.
How
So-
long is
scene.
this whole movie?
It's about 2 hours,
Okay.
maybe a little over.
For
2:10.
91,
That's
that
long. That was
Yeah,
a
no, that's a long
lengthy
time.
Yeah.
movie.
So the girl in the shower is actually a stunt actress, and she was in Roadhouse.
Okay.
She played the sexy girl in
I feel like a
Roadhouse.
lot of the
Check
people
that.
that were in Swayze movies were in all the Swayze movies. I
Yeah.
feel like he carried some people with him
She's
everywhere.
a very famous stunt woman.
That
Yeah.
Okay.
happens a lot, I think, with actors.
There's
They
a
work together with
So-
certain other actors.
Anyway,
there's a gross scene where Anthony Kiedis accidentally
That thing's
shoots
really
his
good.
foot.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
I can feel the fan. It's nice.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Experiencing a heat wave at the video store.
Anyway, he doesn't blow his cover. He goes back out and figures out that they're surfers and they're going to hit however many banks and they know where they're going to go next. And so,
He kind of realizes it's Bodhi's group.
yeah. And so he decides to go and they're going to bust him at their next bank robbery. And it's like a comedy of errors, and he goes to get a hot dog, a meatball sandwich, and then he brings it back. And while they're doing that, the bank robbery's happening, so then he has to go inside, and then it goes wrong, and he has to chase them.
It's a typical cop trope. If you've ever seen like any kind of movies with cops in it, it's like, and this happens.
get their food.
They get their food and they can never eat it.
Their
Oh,
hot
yeah,
cup of
okay.
coffee filled
Yeah.
to the brim.
And then something happens and they gotta run and all the stuff falls. So it's the same thing.
I
and
love that kind of comedy.
Yeah.
The silliness.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So that's what happens here. So, but now he's totally blown his cover because he sees these guys coming out of the
So
bank.
it's like part violent, part
Yeah, so now there's
silly.
this horrible car chase, and then he jumps in, eventually winds up on a foot chase, eventually ends up in the LA River, and obviously Bodhi with his Reagan mask gets away away, but not before giving fucking Keanu Reeves the eyeball. Keanu Reeves got a blown out knee, laying around going,
and then the end. Man, you want to blow through this movie like
This-
nobody's business.
Yeah,
I
she
think
was over
this
it.
was the origin
Maybe
of
I shouldn't get it.
No, you should absolutely take it with you.
you need to.
shooting the bad guy, but having a connection with the bad
Yeah.
guy, so you yell and shoot. You empty your clip into the air. I think this was the first movie that did that because
There-
they
I don't-
spoofed that in.
So
that's
this
the
is a
origin.
pretty famous movie that you hate because it's actually pretty awesome. It's also weird, awful, and awesome all at the same time.
Yes. Totally. I say watch it with someone for sure because then you guys can laugh at all the stupid shit that's happening and it'll make it a lot funnier than watching it by yourself when you're going to lose interest. So now he has a blown cover and he tries to go back. Lori Petty asks him what happened. He says he got hit by a car, hit and run. She fixes his wounds. They do it. She finds out he's an FBI. Oh, hey, Mildred.
Oh, hello, everybody. How are you?
Good. It's a little hot in here today.
Oh, my God. It's so steamy in here. It's steamy outside, too.
Yeah. It's
Just
just
can't get away from it.
it's the way it is in the world today.
You know where it's cold? My grandson's room. He keeps it down so low in there when he plays his games.
Well, I hope you make him pay the electric bill.
Oh, yeah. He has some kind of itchy channel or something where people pay him to watch him play games. I mean, you know, if it breaks in money for him and makes him happy, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think we all dream of having a Twitch channel that brings in money.
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Oh, I'm bringing this movie back. It jumped my back fast. It was weird. It was kind of like some kind of 70s cop drama, but different. It was weird. I'm not
Like
sure.
Chips? Was it like the show Chips?
Kind of, but without the motorcycles. It was
Okay.
very strange.
All right, all right. Well, why don't you go ahead and go back into that, into wherever you want in the store and find something else.
All right, I'll look around.
All right. What happens next?
So the jig is up. Bodie knows,
But now,
but
His-
Keanu isn't 100% sure. He's pretty sure it's Bodie, but
Oh,
he
he's-
kept his mask.
Oh
on.
no, he knows the
he
eyes.
Saw the eyes.
He did. They
he knows.
zoomed on the
from
eyes.
300 yards away.
Yeah.
he knew that
Saw
it was the
Bodie's
bank
eyes.
because he started following him, and
Yeah.
that was the bank.
So,
So now Lori Petty knows because she almost shoots Keanu in the face when he's sleeping, and she finds out that she finds his badge. She was like, "Is it all a lie? Where are your parents? Tell me about your parents. Did you lie about your parents?" And now
he's like,
she
they're
finds
alive
out.
in Ohio, bro.
She freaks out.
He did
She-
not say bra, did
No,
he?
There's a lot of bras.
But that's the only time he didn't say bra.
This movie's got a lot of bra.
So then she runs out of the room
Stereotypical
half
surfer.
naked like
I was
this.
gonna say,
She
I-
I'm
I-
devastated.
ironically,
Yeah.
she wasn't wearing a bra.
I know.
Right, ironically.
Well, it was funny because she ran out like Grover.
She
Like
ran-
literally, it was all arms and legs, like all arms. Like all she had to do was run like 5 feet out the room and down the hall. and
Catherine
it
Bigelow was
was
like, "Wait, cut! Can you do that again? But you need to be more crazy. You need to let those limbs fly."
We're making a Michael Bay movie over here.
blue light, lots of blue light, and robots.
In gradiated skies.
Yeah, blue,
Yeah.
lots of that weird haze.
Yeah.
It leads to the scene, the effects, like the background.
Yeah, it's like a lens flare, Spielberg. What happened next?
Can I mention the surf scenes real quick?
Oh, please
Did you guys notice how most of them look like they were shot at night, even though?
Oh,
it's
the
supposed
day
to
for
be
night,
daytime?
yeah.
Day for night.
Yeah.
The reason that happens, it is so fucking bright, even with neutral density filters, it is too bright
Yeah.
to shoot at 24 frames a second. So you got to crank that aperture way up.
So it really was shot at night? Because
No, it was shot during
During
the
the
day.
day.
Yeah,
but
'cause
they
it's
had
day
to make
for
the
night, yeah.
aperture.
Yeah.
it looks daytime. It looks daytime.
Well,
Straight
there's no
up.
way. I mean, if you've ever shot with a camera at night, you know that you need a lot of light.
Hell of a lot.
You can't shoot in the dark at all.
I know.
Like-
Just watch Jaws. That's why they put it at an amusement park so they could shine some lights on that water
yeah.
at night. Fucking light that water right up.
Talking about Jaws 3?
Yeah, is that what the
Okay.
one I said?
You said
You
Jaws.
just said Jaws.
Oh, in my head it was Jaws 3. Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, the one at the amusement park, Jaws 3
Oh,
in
yeah.
3D.
Creep me out.
Oh, yeah, I
Like
saw
the
it.
The ride was very
Oh,
scary
yeah.
too when I was a child.
I can't
remember
look at
being
the shark
terrified.
as
I
an
never saw the
adult.
movie either.
Oh my god, in 3D and when the like skeleton goes floating by. Oh,
yeah.
my god, stop. And okay, we are totally digressing here. What?
So Bodhi's fighting a shark.
Literally, like he's
No,
fighting a
I'm
shark.
just kidding. We
That's
So-
about the only extreme thing that didn't happen.
should have.
So this was 1991, and as we all know, in retrospect, the 90s was the extreme decade. And
Extreme
I feel
sports, X Games.
Do you mean extreme for movies or
extreme everything. It was
Yeah.
just extreme culture, extreme soft drinks, surge. It was
Yeah.
the
Mountain
decade
Dew,
of surge.
Jolt.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I feel like this movie kind of helped usher
Epitomized that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
helped
definitely.
it's like
Usher
did
the
it.
For sure,
Mountain Dew
for
of
sure.
movies.
Adrenaline, right? The X Games stuff,
Yeah.
the Red Bull stuff, like that stuff.
Mhm.
Kind of like this was the beginning of that.
Okay.
So the crew goes and kidnaps Keanu Reeves,
They
Johnny
wanna kill
Utah.
him.
Yeah,
They
but
want to kill him, but
Bodhi wants to
Bodhi's
come
like,
down off the
"I
Buddha
got it. I
mountain
know
and
how
tell
we're gonna do
him
this."
how they're gonna fix things.
so they pick him up at his house.
They go on this long, way too long journey into this fucking airplane, and they all jump out the airplane, and they spend like 15 fucking minutes floating to the ground. But they really land in a lake. Interesting.
But they do like the aerial.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Look, a lot of we're really
very homoerotic.
we're dogging this movie a lot, but a lot of the visuals and the camera work is really well done.
A lot of the camera work and the stunt work in the waves, a lot of the surfing stuff
Yeah,
is really
surfing,
well done. That
or the
stuff is
the
really well done.
skydiving stuff. It's all really cool.
And during the chase, it was handheld.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it wasn't like
It was a good
super-duper
chase.
shaky,
Yeah,
like,
it
they
was
did
really
a very good job.
Oh, he kidnaps him and then he makes him get into. They all land. He's had this big fucking adrenaline rush. Then he comes in the van and he's like, "I have to show you something. It's an insurance policy, and it's a video of Lori Petty all tied up in her nightgown in a garage somewhere with a gag in her mouth, and the roach or whoever the fuck has her is like a real demonic asshole, and he's gonna slit her throat open if." Bodhi doesn't show up at a certain place at a certain time, so he has to go with him.
And now they're gonna make Johnny Utah help them rob the next bank, the last bank, and that's the deal.
Because it's really all about finding the next wave. That's all the reason that they're robbing these banks.
And
Is because
summer's
they're
So they don't
over.
have to work and they can just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
surf
Travel.
all day.
Yeah.
They can travel. They can follow the waves. So in the summer, they rob a bunch of banks in L.A. to fund the move to the next break, basically to the next point break, brah. So
now they're going on their robbery, and he's explaining everything to him in the van. Everyone's putting on their ex-president mask, and they give him an empty shotgun, and they're like, "All right, let's go." And obviously, this is where everything bad that could happen happens, and people die on both
Well,
sides.
they break their cardinal
They
rule.
break their cardinal rule. They go into the vault. You don't. They
There's
Why
supposed to
don't
be
they
in and
go
out
into the vault
because it
before?
takes too long.
It takes too long.
And it gives
So they
somebody
just take
time to be a
whatever cash is
hero.
right
In the
there
drawers.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
drawers,
Don't
yeah.
get greedy about it. Take
Right.
what we can and get out.
But
Right?
it's actually working.
And
but
nobody
the-
got hurt before either, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But another reason you don't go into the vault, not only does it burn time, but you can't have enough people on the floor to make sure
Right.
people aren't going to do something.
right. You don't need a hero.
You learned a lot on how to be a bank robber in this movie. Like,
I feel like they did that in the 90s a lot, right?
taught us.
Yeah, handbook for the
Taught us-
newly
yeah.
deceased.
Yeah.
Recently,
man.
the recently,
diseased. So everything goes really, really wrong.
Tits up.
And tits up, and people get killed, and the remaining bank robbers that are still alive exit. They knock out Johnny Utah. There's other people that are dead in the bank, and then now they're putting cuffs on Utah, and now the John C. McGinley from Lake Worth Beach is now screaming at Utah, and Gary Busey runs in, and he's like
frothing at the mouth.
frothing, and Gary Busey's
Oh,
like, "Hey,
11
take the
comes
cuffs."
in at 11.
He's like, "Take the cuffs off of him. Let me take him in." And then McGinley's all over Busey, and now Busey's had enough, and he knocks him out, and he takes Utah. And Utah's like, "I know where they're going," and they uncuffs him. He's like, "But we can't shoot
Because they're
him."
going to another
arrest them.
airplane, another
Right.
airport, airfield,
and they're
airstrip.
gonna airdrop over like Mexico or some shit, and that's where Lori Petty's being. So now his motivation's
Oh
getting
wait,
his girlfriend.
I'm sorry, she's being held hostage the
Yes,
whole time,
the
right?
whole
Yeah,
time.
so he
Okay.
has to do whatever
In
they want them
Mexico,
to.
you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now,
Can we go back to the raid
yeah,
near the beginning?
sure.
Just to give this movie kudos.
Thank God.
They set up a. I can't think because you're flapping. A lawnmower. So Johnny Utah is trying to tell Busey, because Busey's he's really good at kind of BS in his way. He's looking for his missing dog, so he knocks on the
That's a good.
the
That's
door
a good
of the house.
excuse.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I've used that before,
he's
actually.
like Rover,
I really
Rover,
d- I have,
Scooby,
for sure.
the dog's
Scooby.
name was Scooby.
Scooby. But Keanu finds out that they're basically packing an arsenal because they're drug dealers. And so he's trying on his walkie-talkie to call the other guys to tell them, don't do this, don't pull your badge. But a lawnmower goes off.
Wow, that's quite a
It goes
coincidence,
off.
right?
Yeah, in the neighbor's house. And so the guy's mowing his lawn, and they can't hear Keanu. Everything.
Oh, they
okay?
can't. They can't hear Keanu.
Yeah, they can't hear Keanu. And
Just making sure that I can hear you still, that everything is
Okay.
still good to be
Yeah.
heard.
it's fine.
Okay.
And so it was basically Chekhov's lawnmower, because that lawnmower comes back. They set it up, and it comes back where there's a big tussle in the yard with one of the drug dealers, and he's like trying to shove Keanu's face in it. And it's one of the old-timey ones where
Yeah.
it's
Even though it's 1991, they decided to get a mower from the 50s, like Tom and Jerry, that it has the rotating
Okay.
blades in the
Yeah.
front.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Like
it's
the push one.
very
Instead-
dangerous
Yeah.
instead
that
of
they
the side
But it has a
outlawed.
motor on it.
Right.
And the effect was pretty good.
It was good.
because they show his
yeah.
head like.
Oh, it was
it's, like,
close.
right there.
Visually, too, like the older stuff just looks a little creepier.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
It looked good because you see his chin is like, it's so.
So anyway, they jump out of the airplane in Mexico.
So they
and
have a showdown at the airport before the airplane. Again, more shots are fired. A
this-
couple
this-
of the bank robbers
it's got like
are dead.
16 endings, this
Yeah.
fucking movie.
A couple of the bank robbers are dead. Gary Busey doesn't make it. So they take Johnny, they throw him on the plane because the pilot says where they're going, and he's like, oh shit, they told him where we're going. So now it's just Bodie, Keanu, an injured bank robber, and they're flying. And they jump out of the plane, and they don't leave. They leave him without a parachute, and Johnny's just like, oh, fuck it.
But Bodie throws the gun to the side, and he's like, "You don't get me this time, copper."
So Patrick Swayze is actually an accomplished skydiver, and he did about 50 or so jumps for this movie, but he would have done them anyway. So that scene of him jumping out of the plane is him jumping out of the plane.
And he does some flips.
Yeah,
and I
he's-
was like, "That's Patrick
it's him.
Swayze."
Yeah.
because you can see his face, and he's really.
They
doing
got so much
flips.
footage
It's like,
that they made the
wow.
longest fucking scene of
Because
them
it's
in the
beautiful.
air.
I like the fact
Because they got
captured the
so many
beauty.
footage that they had to use it.
Well,
And
they-
that first jump was kind of orgasmic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
so this
Yeah.
jump, Keanu jumps out of the plane with a gun in his hand and no shoot, and he just like dives out of the plane like
Coming to get him. Like Grover.
yeah, and he's aiming to grab onto Bodie because they're going to go down together.
Bodis.
Because he didn't
Operandi.
tell
Yeah.
the bad guy to release his girlfriend before he jumped out of the plane.
Okay, that's what I was kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to
It's not he's not
Wondering.
just jumping out to get the bad guy. He's jumping out because he needs to save his girlfriend's
I wasn't
life.
paying that close of attention,
Okay.
so I'm glad you noticed.
Yeah. So he grabs a hold of him, and Bodie's shocked. He's like, "What the fuck? You're crazy." And he's just like putting the gun in his head, and he's like, "Pull the chute." But he says, "You got to pull it. I'm not going to pull it." And if he pulls it, he's got to drop the gun. Yada yada
They
yada.
argued for so long about
For so
that.
long, they
It's like-
almost hit the ground before he pulls that chute. And of
And
course,
the other guy's dead. There's money flying everywhere for dramatic effect. And here comes the Jeep over the ridge with Lori Petty in the passenger seat and the other bad guy. And they get there. They're like, let her go. You can let her go. And they trade off for each other. And Lori Petty runs over. And Bodie goes. And they get
Is
the
she wearing
money.
clothes? I know
No,
that's
she
a
got on the
weird
nightgown.
description, but
She
I
got
feel
on the
like
nightgown.
They're always
Well,
like in a
she
in a
went
garment,
90s, like
right?
90s.
like a what is it?
Yeah, like
what are
a-
those things called, chemise or?
A
You know what I'm
chamois.
talking about, right?
A chamois.
It's basically like
Yeah,
a satin nightgown.
a ShamWow.
But it's not even. It's like a slip. She's wearing like a little like
girl on Vanderpump Rules has
1991.
But
one, I
with the
think.
shorts.
There were no shorts.
No?
It was just like a little slip.
No.
You
the
know,
side.
I
It
miss
was so
that style,
91.
the
So
little
here's
shorts,
my
they're so
question.
90s.
Here's my question. When she left Keanu Reeves' house, all she had on was his oversized shirt.
Where did
So-
that fucking nightgown
So
come from?
they must have
They
stopped at a
robbed
store
They robbed a
and got
store.
her a nightie. They couldn't get her shorts or something, or they had one on standby.
And if she was in her car when they, what did they take her? They took her and what? When did they take her?
I don't know,
That's
but
not important.
it is. She was sleeping in that
So
nightie.
they
kinda
let her
wanna
go.
know.
Well, if you were her, would you run and go hug him? Like, I know you went through like
Yeah,
a super traumatic.
yeah.
Not only
but you're
hug
still
him,
mad.
but make out. They
They're
both
making
have their
out
make
in
they
the
have
desert
their,
with the butt dust blowing in the face.
and both of their
Ew,
mouths
making
are open
out.
against their chins. They're like,
You know, in the 90s, you didn't notice it because they were happy to be together and they were doing more exposition.
I would have noticed it.
I get the hugging.
You
thing,
didn't
but the
notice
making
Tank
out's
Girl.
A little much.
I did. That movie was terrible, but the soundtrack was great.
You loved that movie. When
I
it came
loved
out.
that soundtrack. I wanted
Okay.
to love the movie and I couldn't. I pretended.
Yeah.
So they go to the dead bank robber
it's
to
terrible.
pick up the movie, to pick up the money, and there's this weird 80-yard line where Bodhi's like, we can't leave him, we gotta bury him, and the
Yeah.
other guy's like, there's no time.
Yeah, it's
I had
weird.
to rewind it like 3
Yeah.
times and put the closed captioning on. Like, what the fuck did they just say?
Why? I know.
Well, they had to make it look, because, he is their friend,
They
but
kept trying to make Bodhi like not such a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, some sort of like have a little bit of something for him.
Mhm.
So now
Right.
we slow dissolve from the desert to the pouring rain in Australia.
It's like 1 year later, and they're in Australia, and you
Or,
see him
the
walking down on the
Pacific Northwest.
beach, and there's a storm coming. Oh, because at some point they were talking about the 50-year storm.
Check off
They were
50
talking.
year
They were
story.
talking about around the campfire in the beginning. They were talking about like the biggest waves ever ridden, and everyone's spouting off where. And then Bodhi says Bells Beach, Australia, and they're like, "There's no way that's big." He's like, "Well, it will be next year because that's when the 50-year storm is coming." And it's like a myth, a legend that twice a century this big storm comes out and it rips up Antarctica and sends a big swell north, and he's going to be there, and that's his dream to ride this wave. So that's where Keanu finds him after traversing the globe trying to find him in the
Yeah,
year.
he's
On
like, I missed you
taxpayer-
by 2 weeks in
Burma.
Mahi.
Yeah. So he finds him on this rainy beach in Australia, and he.
Did those guys sound
It
Australian?
kinda, it just
No, they
sounds
sound
so
fake
cliche a little
Australian.
bit, right? All of it,
So,
but fun.
Like it,
But
again,
it was
it
cliche
never
now, but not
ends.
then.
I guess.
It
Yeah, okay,
never
early 90s.
ends.
So they filmed that, I think, in the
It's like-
Pacific Northwest, and those
Okay.
guys were either New Zealand or Australian or something.
They were not Australian.
No, they were
'cause
American
I don't
actors.
know, Laurie.
Yeah.
There's a blimey bloke out
Hey,
there.
mate.
Today we're gonna go get him and get some shrimp on
So
the
they
barbie.
have this they monologue each other on the beach, and he's like, "I'm taking you in. It's justice. You have to serve
Oh, yeah.
justice."
No. You're ruining it. best line in the history of cinema, and it's my only Keanu Reeves impression.
Better than
Better.
War Child
Yes.
Only Lives to Get Radical. Let's hear it.
It's
You're on the spot.
you got to go down, Bodhi. People trusted you and they died.
Bro.
Dude, it's the best. Even when I saw that the first time, I'm just like, wait, what? You got to go down, Bodhi. People trusted you and they died. It
So,
was awesome. I
I
was
love the
like,
chin up.
because
Yeah.
he's
It's
a chin
very
actor.
important part you can
He's a
tell.
chin
Yeah.
actor. He really is.
dude, it's so
So-
bad. It's like the worst line.
So they
ever.
wrestle
But
in
it
the
stuck with
waves.
you.
Oh man, it did it ever.
They wrestle in the waves, and then.
Swayze kind of kicks his ass.
yeah.
But it doesn't
Swayze's no
matter
joke.
because Keanu Reeves gets the handcuffs on him. And he's like, "You can't take me in, man. You can't. I'll die in a little cell. I'll die." And here come the police. All the police are coming.
then
In
Bodhi-
Australia, but isn't he like?
Yeah, but they're going to extradite him because he's
But
such
so-
a bad
For-
criminal.
Right,
A
okay.
bank robber from California.
But,
Yeah,
but
he's
people
such.
died, you guys.
Yeah, because they trusted him.
So Bodhi does his Bodhi thing, and he chants to him and tells him why it's important. And he's just like, "Just let me get one wave, man. One wave. Look at it. It's where am I gonna go, man? I ain't gonna paddle to New Zealand."
There's no place for me to go.
And there's this huge
So-
wave out there. It
Huge.
looks amazing.
And so he
So he knows what's
Lets
what's
him
up.
go.
He knows that he's not really trying to get away or surf a wave. He knows that
he's
'cause
going to
before-
Thelma and Louise
because-
himself right off that fucking
Because
wave.
before, and again, at the campfire, he's like, "It's not tragic to die doing what you love." So
Okay.
that it's all coming back.
Lots
So.
of ups and payoffs. Like
Yeah, a lot of
kudos
little
for
things.
that.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that stupid
Wait,
movie.
so he did die.
yeah.
They don't show his dead body floating in the
No,
waves.
but-
But they kind of like make the.
Well, and they don't even
Assumption,
give him
for
like
sure.
one good run. This is the thing that pisses me off. They don't give him like one good run before he dies like a chump in the waves.
Yeah, I agree.
Like seriously.
Well, he just wanted one wave.
But did
he didn't
show
get it.
him
They, like-
surfing
He didn't
it?
get
They
it.
don't show him surfing
He
it?
gets
he,
up
like,
on the
gets it, and then he,
board,
like,
but then he
fucking
falls,
chokes like a
and he's
cherry.
like, he's
That
like
is
body
so
surfing.
disappointing.
Isn't
so
it?
disappointing.
I don't think I want to see this movie now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. It's a classic. You can say you did. The next guy you go out with, you can be like, hey, I totally have seen this movie.
And they'll be
Like,
impressed.
oh my God, you're so cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, do you
Love
want
that movie.
Can we just get Mildred out of here? Let's just get everybody out of here.
Oh, I heard my name.
Mildred, 1 second, please.
Oh.
We forgot to mention that this whole time the cops are like frothing at the beach, like we got to get him when he comes in, and Keanu's just walking away. He's like, he's not coming in, brah.
He's not coming back.
He
And
said it again. Did he really say
Yeah.
bruh?
He didn't
Okay.
say brah.
And,
You wanted
and then
him
he
to.
threw his badge in the water, and it was
Yeah, because you could just
beautiful.
throw your FBI badge right into the ocean
He's
with
done.
no fucking repercussions.
That was his last mission. He's done. He's a
How's
surfer
he
now.
getting back from Australia?
No
Like,
He's
shit.
retired
Shit.
now.
That's
Right. Are he gonna get in a
Going to
bunch
New
of trouble for
Zealand.
fucking losing his badge and like somebody could just get it in another country?
And then Rat
and
plays us
having a
out.
gun in Australia? That's
Yeah.
probably-
But it was 91, so he probably just had it in his
It's
fucking
a-
back pocket on the fucking plane.
It's also a movie, and it's symbolic, and who gives a shit?
Ugh.
Jesus.
Hey, let's go. Can we get these people out of here? I mean, it was very nice to meet
Mildred,
you.
what'd you
Thanks
get?
for the lesson, guys.
Oh, I got this. It's the Sandy Crack movie. I don't know what it's about, but it's starring Sandy Bottoms.
Sandy Crack and Sandy Bottoms.
I don't know. It looks crazy. It's like some kind of prequel and sequel of something.
It's not SpongeBob Bleep Pants?
I didn't see that one. I
No.
might want to get that, though. Maybe you'll have that ready for me next time.
Sandy Bottoms was in that one, too.
Oh, so it's one of those actors that does
Yeah.
just a lot of these crazy movies.
She's been around.
Okay.
Well, take care. We'll see you next week, Mildred.
All right.
Bye.
Don't let the door hit you on
On the sandy bottom.
the... It's hot.
Hey, I've been sweating my ass off in the back, and I need to get out of here and drink some water.
That's good. I think we're all going to go, Mayor. So we're going to be hot on your heels. Us and our new friend here that we're going to force her to rent this movie. Let's go, kids.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.